This is the second part of my video that shows the history of the Impala from 1958 to 2020. The second part of this video is going to range from 1971 to 1996. There's basically three major body styles that are in this range. And I'm going to admit this is not my area of expertise when it comes to Chevrolet Impalas. I hope I don't mess anything up on any of the details. I'm going to try to notice the differences from year to year. Also, there's a problem of trying to distinguish Caprice from Impala. In some of the years, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the difference in Caprice and Impala. So if I make that mistake, forgive me for that. And please tell me in the comments if I've made a mistake on that. I'm going to do my very best not to, but I'm sure that I will. First one I'm going to talk about is 1971. They still made a convertible in 1971. Body style is completely different from 1970. Everything was redesigned, the entire car. It has front corner lights, grille that's separated from the headlights, 4 of the smaller round headlights, like a lot of cars had back then. When you get to the rear of the car, the tail lights, they're kind of rectangular, sectioned off, 3 of them, which carries over from the 3 tail lights from 58, but they're rectangular on this. Roof line's kind of, I don't know, 70s style. Like I said, they came in all the 70s colors. Interior wise, they had a lot of plastic, completely plastic steering wheel, dash, really wild colors, greens. They also have blacks. Looks like bucket seats were still available. And then when we got to station wagons, the body of the car, they matched it to the body of the sedan as good as they could. Taillights are not the same as the sedan. They're just 2 big rectangular taillights, one on each side. They kind of slope inward. And that's pretty much it. And some of this stuff will carry over throughout the whole body style. They did make changes every year, pretty much every year on this body style of car though. In 72, it's basically the same body style, but they changed the front end drastically. And the rear of the car changed some too. The hood overlaps the front of the car and the grille is set lower. The corner lights are now gone, and there's marker lights on the outside, but they're only on the outside. They don't go through the whole corner. The lines in the grille are very close together, and on the rear of the car, the bumpers now have the tail lights in them again, just like they did on some of the older ones. The taillights are basically sectioned into 3, but it's like one long lens. On the interior of the car, some similarities to 71. I'll be honest with you, I have a hard time seeing the difference in this one and 71. It's probably just patterns in the material. The station wagon is very similar to 71. It has the 72 front end on it though. All the things that were changed on the front end. The rear of the car is from 71 to 72 are almost the same. 73 again has a major front end change. The grille goes straight across now and the headlights are incorporated in with it. there is no cornering lights that's up beside the headlights. They now only have side marker lights down at the bottom. Park lights are in the front bumper. Side profile of the car is very similar. It didn't really change a whole lot. The taillights are three sections in the bumper, 3 rectangles. They're incorporated into the bumper. Interior, very similar to 72. Some wild patterns, a mixture of cloth and vinyl. And the station wagon, pretty much the same with the change in the front end. The taillights of the station wagon look pretty much the same. They may have added some chrome strips across it. I'm not sure if that's different for that year or just a different variation. In 74, they changed the front end again drastically. The grille goes straight across all the way from one side to the other and has the headlights attached to it. The corner lights are back up on the edge of the headlights again. There's 2 different roof styles in 74, and I'm not sure if one of them was Caprice and one Impala, or if it was available on both models. But one of them has large back windows on the side of the car and a curved in rear glass. The trunk lid also has a big raised, almost like a cowl look in the middle of it that's different than before. Interior is very similar to the previous years. They made a Spirit of America version of 1974 that was red, white, and blue. Station wagon looks very similar to the other years. Tail lights on the station wagon has vertical chrome instead of horizontal like it did in 73. That's about the main differences. In 75, again, we have big changes to the front of the car. The grille is got a little bow tie at the top in the middle. It goes across, and there's no cornering lights on the Impala model. I think there's a difference in the Caprice model. The grille's separated a little more, and it has park lights down at the bottom. The tail lights are different on the Caprice than they are on the Impala. On the Caprice, it's 3 sections separated, all rectangular lights on each side. On the Impala, the tail lights look like one big plastic piece on each side that has 3 segments in it of different for the 3 rectangular tail lights. Interior really doesn't look that different on 75. I'm sure there's difference in the patterns of material and the colors, but it's similar to the previous years. The station wagon also looks very similar to the previous years, with the difference being the front end. The tail lights look very similar to me. They have vertical chrome strips up through them. In 1976, the front end looks, there's a separation between the grille and the lights. There's no corner lights. The signal lights are in the bumper, and the side marker lights are down near the bottom of the fender. The roof line is very similar to the previous years with the big back window in it. Interior is very similar to the previous years, available in different colors, a lot of different colors. Station wagon is very similar to the previous years. Tail lights on the station wagon still has the chrome vertical strips in the middle of them. The 1977 model Impala changed its looks drastically. It was another big year of change. The entire car was redesigned, and it's when we started getting into the boxy cars that would carry all the way through the 80s, all the way up to 1990. Actually, the body style carries all the way up to 1990 with some change, but it really doesn't change a lot. This is body style that I first remember when I was a kid. I saw these cars everywhere. You know, all the police cars were this, and the coupes had a glass that went down and stuck out from the back of the pillar. It was very unique looking. They ended up doing something later with a Monte Carlo that was similar to Aero Coupe. Tail lights on this car were they were just kind of rectangular, 3-sectioned, and this same style tail lights went on for many years. And then you get into the interior of the cars, and they were very plush interiors. A lot of them had the velour type seats. And station wagons, they were the same boxy design in the front end, and in the back they had the 2 big blocky tail lights on each side. 78 went almost unchanged. They did put some corner marker lights on the front where they didn't have them on 77. Other than that, it's pretty much an identical car. As far as I know, there's hardly any difference whatsoever. The interior stayed pretty much the same, and the station wagon stayed pretty much the same. And this is a story for a lot of the years that are between 77 and 90. There's not a lot of differences in the cars. Some of them I can tell hardly any difference in. 1979 was a continuation, like we talked about earlier. They took away the hood ornament. They put a bow tie in the grille. They took away the corner front lights. Tail lights have some slight changes. Interior, I really can't tell much of a change if they did anything. And station wagon's pretty much the same also. 1980 again looked similar to the earlier ones. The Impala didn't have the front corner lights, but the Caprice did. I guess that was one of the ways they tried to distinguish the two models. Interior looks very similar to the earlier ones. Still has wood grain in the dash, same steering wheel. The station wagon looks very similar to the other models. They didn't change much through these years. It's probably small trim changes. And I don't know what the differences are in them, but it is very similar to previous years. 1981 came with a little minor change to the grille. The grille now has horizontal bars going across it that look different than the previous ones. It's one of the ways they could change the car very minor and call it a different model year. Taillights were very similar to previous years. Interior was very similar to previous years with minor changes. The station wagons, they had very similar also, just the grille change. The Caprice model may have had a little more trim on it than the Impala did. Overall, still another year that's very similar. Looks like 1982 is almost the same as years before. It looks like, at least on the Caprice model, they got a hood ornament now. Taillights are the same, separated by actual paint on this one on the back end. So they still have the 3 rectangular sections there. Interior looks the same. Really didn't change much. Station wagon's the same as well. In 1983, they changed the grille just a little bit. It doesn't have the real notable horizontal lines in the grille like it had before. Overall, the car looks the same. I have to say, this is when American cars got into very boring years. I mean, year after year after year, the cars look almost identical. Back in the 60s and 50s and early 70s, they would change them drastically every year. But it's just the way it was. They tried to be cheaper and not change it. They started caring more about, less about looks, I should say. 1984 is yet another year that looks exactly the same. Almost exactly the same. I'm sure if you're a person that collects these cars, you could probably point out the differences, but looks like the segments in the grille got a little bit smaller maybe. Other than that, I really can't say what the difference is. I'm sure it's all trim. $1985 looks the same as the previous years pretty much. Grill, the size of the holes in the grill maybe got a little bit larger. Other than that, it's an identical model. In 1986, there was a dramatic change in the grill. I think that looks a little more modern. It doesn't have the large segments in it anymore. There's a separation between the grill and the headlights. I think it looks a lot better. Taillights look very similar though. They didn't really change them that much. Interior, it looks a little more plush maybe, a little nicer looking seats. Station wagons look pretty much the same with the differences in the grill. In 1987, they made a pretty big change to the headlights of the car. They used the plastic headlights that went all the way across that took place of the 4 individual bulbs. They also added a vinyl top that looked a little more luxurious on some of the cars. Matched a lot of the other cars from that time. Other than that, the car remained largely the same. $1988 looked very similar to 1987. The differences were very minor, if any. Again, they had the luxurious classic chrome with the vinyl top, which looked nice. The taillights of the car were similar to what they have been for the previous years. Interior of the car still real plush, a little bit of wood grain still. Wood grain in the dash. Station wagon looked very similar to the previous years. $1989 looked the same as the previous years. The car I'm showing here is a police car. Of course, they made these through all the years, and I didn't show very many of them, but they basically were stripped down versions. They did have cornering lights on the front, though. Through these years, police cars and taxis were very common use of these cars. Interior looks the same pretty much, and the station wagon looks the same. In 1990, this was the last year of this square body style. The next year, they would change it dramatically, and there would no longer be an Impala model, so I'm skipping the years after this until we get to the 1994 Impala SS. But in the 1990 model, the interior was plush, just like the late 80s models. Exterior of the car looked largely unchanged. Station wagon looked mostly the same. The Impala came back in 1994, and they called it the Impala SS model. It's kind of a disappointment for true Impala people because they didn't make a 2-door version of it. The car was very popular though, even though it was only a 4-door version. One of the biggest reasons it was so popular is it came with the high-performance LT1 engine that came in the Corvette. The interior is very plasticky, like most 90s cars. Very different than the square body cars that were earlier. In 1995, they came back with the same car again. I'm not aware of any differences in it. These cars only came in a couple different colors. They were all dark colors, maroon, black, and this dark blue. I'm not aware of any other colors. There may have been some more. But all of them were the same body style. They had the same interior as the previous year. '96 was the final year of this body style Impala. They only made it 3 years. This car still has a following to this day. They were kind of a high performance car. I was never a big fan of them. I always thought they kind of looked like a blimp. They look like they're been blown up like a balloon. My brother had one of these cars and he really liked it. It was as sporty as you could be for the time, I guess. For a full size car. The taillights had kind of the segments like the older Impalas, but it was more so of a solid long taillight. But anyway, this was like I said, it was popular. This is the final year that I'm talking about in this video. Interior was the same. I'm not sure if I'm going to make the final video or not. It's going to be pretty hard to make it with the cars being a little more boring.